one. We're getting that one. But that's jalapeno. I don't know if you're good on it. Hi. Can I get two of the one that has the jalapeno?
Okay, so 2 watermelons?
Just one. So what? Thank you. You want to grab me this one? Come on. You too. Let's go. But we wanted to talk today about, like, first of all, talking about like the funny but also not so funny side of church. I think right now a hot topic in the church world is church hurt. And the thing about church hurt is that people may not understand what it is. And I think if you don't define it, a lot of people are going to be able to make pain an excuse to not step into their purpose. Unfortunately, that's something that I've seen so much more in the last 5 years, that a lot of people are stepping away from ministry, stepping away from community because of the umbrella of church hurt, when really it's just pain. It's just like unfortunate situations, relational breakdowns. Things happen. And I think like it was so cool because like I think when we talk about our experience at church, it's like so much has happened. What is like the craziest thing, or maybe like the funniest thing that you remember has happened to you, or like in ministry, like crazy, like a funny story?
Some like world event down in Mission Valley. One of the pastors had a giant container of oil, and he just straight up super soaker launched it in the crowd, and half the crowd fell over. I mean, everybody to their own.
Yeah.
To something really spiritually happened, but yeah. I think just people just got doused in Crisco, and whatever you want to take from that, that's what it is. Spirit was moving, but I don't think a gallon of Crisco.
You don't think it was the gallon of Crisco that did it?
Like everybody, I guess, what the kids call, got cooked that day.
That's wild.
People getting hit with shirts.
What do you mean? Oh, yeah. Like let the bodies hit the floor type deal?
Bodies definitely hit the floor.
What's wild is that, I mean, I grew up in church, so like you see people like falling all the time, and you're like, dude, that's whatever, that's normal. And then you grow up and then you realize like, dude, this doesn't happen everywhere. And like it's just happening at our church or churches like us. And I remember catching a few people, and it's an extreme like moment for sure. I remember having to you have to take off like your jacket, put it on people. If you run out of modesty blankets,
start using anything you can find.
I think a lot of fun experiences for sure. A lot of road trips, a lot of travel. I remember you picked us up. You're telling me the story. You picked us up when we went to an event, and the host refused to drive us back.
Yeah.
So I called you like
10, 11 o'clock at night.
And you're like, dude, our host don't want to drive us home, so you drove us. That's
a lot of that. I remember a few times getting sent up to Irvine to pick up stuff. They're like, oh yeah, we're gonna cover gas, cover lunch. And you're like, oh, okay, whatever, that's cool. I got it, I'll go.
Yeah.
Every single time, no lunch. Still waiting till this day.
It might still be coming.
No.
They just send you like a bottle of like Crisco to pay for it.
There you go. That's an easy excuse to be like,
offended.
People don't care.
Yeah.
God, I thought these were supposed to be God people, but it's like, no, it's just people. People are people.
It's just people. Yeah, it's not a Christian thing. It's more of like because this happens everywhere. This happens at schools. This happens at
anywhere.
At businesses. I think like wherever there's people, you can have politics. You can have problems.
Anywhere.
And I think the heart behind all of this conversation is that what makes sometimes life difficult is what makes it meaningful. Like you can't have a perfect friendship with people because people are not perfect. And at some point people do let you down. And then things happen in the church and it can get a little bit wild. What is something that was like, that maybe like hit you the wrong way? What was something that you were like, dude, this isn't right, or this kind of made me feel a certain type of way that you would think that like nowadays people would say like this is church hurt, this is like enough excuse for me to like do? I mean, them not paying your gas is already That's a
I
beauty.
think one of the weirdest things that kind of like this ain't it is I witnessed a pastor, and he asked his congregation of men who'll be willing to come and like it was like a thing on loyalty, and he had a group of guys just airplane mode, and he asked
This was like a men's gathering.
I think it was a men's or a leader thing.
Okay.
And who's loyal to carry their pastor? And 12 dudes posing as the disciple. I don't know what they're doing. I was just spectating, like, what is going on? And they carried this man through the entire sanctuary. I'm like, this is not.
This is not it.
This is wrong.
I was there that day. I think I was playing keyboard or something in the
I
background.
think you were. But even in that moment, it's like nothing. It didn't skew nothing for me. I'm like, this is a moment of something. And
This is not for me. I've talked to my therapist about this too, because it's so like, for whatever reason, the details got so ingrained in my mind. We were like outside of the green room before going on stage, and the pastor went out there. He was wearing like a headset, like a microphone, and it wasn't working. There was like some feedback. So then he walked off stage, and he like took it off while staring at us. Like we were like the production team. He like took it off, like staring at us, and he just like threw it with all of his strength up against the wall. Like, this is a hallway, so this wasn't like a big room.
Yeah.
He just threw. He was so upset. I'll never forget, because it made a sound. It made a sound like, I don't know, the microphone made a sound, like on the speakers. People heard it, and then you could hear, like in the wall, there was like a crack on the wall. It just like cracked the wall. And then he grabbed another microphone. He went on stage. He finished his thing. What's wild for me is that years later, I went back to that place.
Yeah.
In the place where, and it's so like vivid in my mind, because I've told the story to my therapist. When I went back years later, I saw the place where the microphone was
heated.
Yeah, and they had fixed it, and that hit me in a weird way, because it was so easy how we could have just like cover up the physical damage, but that moment wasn't addressed with the people. Like, it's almost like the biggest damage done that day was to the wall, not the people. I was late teens, early 20s for sure, because this was before, so maybe late 20s. I don't know. I mean early 20s. But I'll never forget it, because I was like, I thought church was supposed to be like the good people, and that's something that brought so much weight, anxiety, like in like pressure, like unnecessary pressure.
Yeah.
Because I just always felt, if I'm going to be in ministry, if I'm gonna be a leader, dude, like I have so much stuff. I have so many shortcomings. I have so many flaws. There is no way I will ever be fit to be in these positions of leadership.
Yeah.
So I disqualified myself. And one of the biggest gifts that I believe God's given me is to see the behind the scenes, to realize a lot of these men and women that I've put on a pedestal, nobody told me to, they're just human, and they have some crazy flaws.
Yeah, everywhere.
I honestly think if people understood that a lot of the leaders that they look up to, they're also human, a lot of the issues that we have in church would go away. For example, we have a lot of people at churches who will not buy in because they have that whole idea of like, dude, the grass is greener over there. Look over there. Dude, they look like they really love Jesus. They look like it's greater. The grass is greener. And then as a leader, you start getting hurt even in your own church, because you're like, and it's the frustrating part. It's like a double-edged sword, that I'm like, it's the comparison trap that I'm like, I am not. But then on the other end, I'm like, I've been there. I've been in the green rooms. I've been in the conferences. We've seen it, and it's not as good. It's tough to choose not to choose offense and to choose something else. You've been doing ministry forever. How have you kind of done it? Like, what has helped you? Because we've been in rooms, we've seen some crazy things. What has helped you stay? We're talking about like, there's no such thing as staying pure, staying innocent, but like, what has kept you from just fully giving up on just the church?
100% is friendship. And just like how we say, like, the church isn't the building, it's found in people. I think that within friendship has like kept me going. Instead of putting like any pastor or any specific church as like the model, I think my friends who have modeled Jesus to me on a continuous basis has been where I've kept myself in line, along with my own spiritual walk. I don't think without the friends that I have gone along the way, you and others, that I'd probably would have bounced way earlier. Just gonna be like, oh, seeing behind the scenes can really start to skew how you view certain people, or is this what church is really? Is this what every church deals with? But more so that I'm like, okay, this is the moments, these are people make mistakes. But that grounding in friendship of like, okay, this is not it, this is not what God represents, I think has really, that's my stronghold, is my friendships.
Yeah. That's it. At the end of the day, I feel like so many Christians, we have created this other layer that we go to church for the people on the platform. Yeah. We go to church because there is someone that we've been told to put on a pedestal, which are the pastors and the leaders. And as a lead pastor, I get that, right? Because I was a part of a church like that. But I feel like the future of the church, if it's going to continue to be strong, it needs to go back to the original, which is the higher you go in the hierarchy of leadership, it's like the lower you go, right? I feel like that is the model that Jesus said, right? Is titles over towels. Is the greatest of you must be the servant of all. But it has to start, and I think this, in my journey is privilege, in the sense of like, we've seen some incredible leaders come through conferences and green rooms and all of that good stuff. And there are incredible pastors. There are incredible, healthy men and women of God that are doing things incredibly. Yeah. But then there's this lane of people who don't reject the pedestal, but they embrace it. Yeah. They got in it perhaps for the wrong reasons. Right. And sometimes it's weird to even say that, because it's almost like you're assuming that you knew the purpose. But one of the things that I've seen is that when God is in something, it begins difficult, and then it progressively gets easier. There's like an easiness to what God does. But there are certain people who, in their minds, either they planted a church, or they split a church, or they took over a church because they feel, I'm entitled to this, I deserve this. Yeah. And that's already the wrong motive to start with. And time again, I feel like this is at the foundation of church hurt. It's having people in positions of leadership that believe that they're entitled, that they deserve it, and we forget none of us deserve this. Yeah. None of us have earned this. And ministry does not lead to privilege. Ministry is the privilege. And when you get that, everything changes. My heart would be for people to get the truth that is, as pastors and leaders, our win is to see people win, is to get closer to Jesus, develop a relationship with Jesus. And will we get hurt along the process? Sure. But I don't think hurt shouldn't exist in the church. I believe wherever there are humans, there's going to be hurt. If anything, when it happens in the church, we should just not make it taboo. There should be a safe space for people to be honest and be clear and bring confrontation. I think confrontation It's not about just bringing conflict. It's about bringing clarity. It's not about being dramatic, even though there is drama. But it is about saying, like, calling things out. But there's such an intimidation culture, even in the church, because we think that, like, proximity is what gives you power. I need to be good with the pastor. I need to be good with these people. And now that I look at my own kids, I realize that, like, pastoring a church is like leading a family. Mm-hmm. If you have experienced church hurt, I feel you. And I think that's one of the biggest things that you need to understand, that you're not alone. One of the best pieces of advice that I got when I went through one of the toughest seasons of my life that was birthed out of hurt that came from the church was a very sobering statement. And the statement was this is a pastor friend of mine. I told him everything that I went through, what I felt had happened to me, the pain I was going through, the symptoms, just the heaviness. And he told me something that just woke me up. And he said, hey, the pain that you're feeling is the realization that you're not special. And that woke me up. I'm like, from my entitlement, I'm like, what do you mean? It's just like, so many other people have been hurt, but there's nothing that God can't heal. And if you're in a season right now where you've been staying in this pain, I want to give you this analogy that's very practical. When you break your arm, I broke my arm when I was young. My brother broke my arm. And after you break your arm, they put it in a cast, and it's protected. And months went by, but at a certain point, the cast needed to come off, and I needed to use my arm again. So at some point after the cast had been put on, months went by, and the doctor said, hey, you need to take the cast off again. And I was nervous. I was nervous to apply force. I was nervous to use it again. The doctor told me that's what the cast was for. It was to protect it while it was vulnerable. I think a lot of us, what we've done, we've been hurt by people in the church, and we just put this hard layer of protection. We stop trusting, we stop engaging, we stop attending, we stop trying, and rightfully so. You need boundaries to heal. But God does the healing, and at some point, you got to break through that thick barrier that you place that's not just keeping the evil away, but it's keeping the good from coming in. And the best thing you can do is to just try again. I'm not saying you have to go and repeat what didn't work. It's to try something different. Because church hurt is not the church hurting you. It is people who are flawed, and maybe they had the wrong motives and the wrong intentions. But at the end of it all, what I know and what I've seen in my own personal life, and our church is a product because of it, is that though bad company corrupts good character, good company will allow you to flourish. So if you're going through the toughest moment, the toughest pain, I'll tell you what I was told. You're not special. That may sound harsh, but it's also a wake-up call for you to know so many have gone through what you went through, and they've gotten better because there is nothing that God can't heal. So I want to encourage you. Take off that cast off your heart, try again, and watch what God's going to do.